So welcome to this DBMS class, and we are in the part of discussing about the DBMS class. So um, we talked about the outline, database management definitions, examples, some of the drawbacks which was between file system and storage. Thereby, we talked about levels of abstraction. After levels of abstraction, we talked about a logical schema and physical schema. Thereby, we talked about the various data models that it is taking up data relationships, schematics, and constraints. Then regarding the relational model, which organizes the database into rows and columns. After that, we are now in a mode where some of the relational databases examples, one of a relational database example, we are going to call it as a structured query language, so SQL. So as far as a structured query language is concerned, so people will categorize the instructions, one into data definition language, another into data manipulation language, another into data control language, and data transaction language. So as data definition language, it can be a create command, nor a drop command, or an alter command. When it is going to be a data manipulation language, we do have some insert command followed by update command and delete command. If it is with data control language, it is dealing with grant and it is going to deal with revoke. For transaction, for the transaction control language, so it can be commit an operation or a rollback operation followed by a save point. So these are the several aspects. Along with this, we are going to have a select command, and that select command, it is going to give it as a structured query, data query language. So all these, they are going to be part of this SQL, which they are going to be imposed over the databases. So using these database is going to be built. So this language, it is going to support a creation of a table. Maybe it acts as a data dictionary, that is as a metadata, that is data about data. Thereby it is going to have some database schemas. So the blueprint of how to construct a database with a character data type, varchar data type, or a numeric data type. Then it is going to fit up some integrity constraints like primary key, a candidate key, or a super key, or a foreign key, etc. And thereby it is going to support a authorization to whom it should restrict. So that authorization it is going to take with data control language with grant and revoke operations. So as far as this data manipulation is going to be concerned, the pure things of a data manipulation language, it can be a insert command, nor it is going to be some update command, and it is going to be a delete command. So using these SQL instructions, the data manipulation language is going to be operated, and it is integrated with a mathematical theories, with relational calculus, with tuple calculus, and domain relational calculus. So one of a major example, so we take it as a SQL here. So we talked about SQL. So SQL, it is not going to be a Turing machine language, and it is going to be very simple, and you can build it with your high level language instructions, and you do some complex functions, etc. And it is going to be embedded with an object database Java database compatibility. So it is going to be supported. So as far as this SQL is going to concern, so the main intention was to provide a very good design for a database. it should provide a very good design for a database. So for that, it is going to take up a good database schema. So the end outcome was it should give up some good business decisions, some domain specific decisions which are related to the computer science. So it is dealing with a logical design, which it is going to be taken up in the second layer, called in the second layer, that is of a logical view, and it is the second it is going to take up at the second layer, and first one it is going to deal with the physical layer, with the physical view, so that it is going to take up with the physical design. So that is how a physical design with the ground level, followed by abstract, that is a logical view at the third level, second level, and at the third level we do have this user view. So that is how a user views abstractions is going to be constructed. So you can see a database. So is there any problem with this database? Yeah, there are some few problems which are going to be with this identifier, or a name, or a salary, or a building, or a department. So it should be represented a compatibility with a relational model, and thereby a normalization theory has to be applied. So at this model, we do say that there should be some normalization has to be taken place, and some key constraints, or an integrity constraint should be happening over this database. So that is where a database has to be rectified. So after a relational model, people are going to fit it with the fourth generation, that is where we are going to call it as an object relational model. And object relational model, it is going to take up with this object oriented databases. And if you are going to put it in a two-dimensional shape, that we are going to call it as a text file, that we are going to call it as a flat file. So the flat file, it is going to be saved in .txt. So it is in a two-dimensional structure which can be stored with a notepad, nor it is going to be supported with an attributed related file format, ARFF, etc. So there a relational model can be migrated to it, followed by an object-oriented model. When we are going to call it as an object-oriented model, the database, it is going to support a class which is set of data members and member functions. Then it is going to support an instance of a class. So that is nothing but we call it as an object which is acts as a real-time entity. Then the operations what we can do over it, it can be a data binding. So it can be data binding followed by data encapsulation. Data binding followed by encapsulation, and they are going to be applied over these data types, which can be varchar, it can be string, which can be date. So in this way, there are different data types which are going to be abstract given, and the data binding or an encapsulation. The data binding or an encapsulation, it is going to deal with private. It is going to make it very specific with a public, etc. So all these aspects are going to be part of this relational model. Next, we do have an extensive markup language, which it is going to support up this SQL. So SQL tags are going to be embedded with this extensive markup language, and extensive markup language, it is going to give a structured approach. So it is going to give a structured tags here, whereas at a HTML, they are going to lead up to an unstructured tags. So now coming to this database engine. So of a database engine. So one, they are going to be part of a storage manager. Two, they are going to be the query processing. Three, they are going to be the transaction management. So as far as storage is going to be concerned, it is going to be in the first layer, that we are going to call it as a physical layer. So that is at the first layer or the first level view. So that is physical layer. So at that have memory, and in that memory we do have a database, and database, it is going to be stored in form of rows and columns. So tables it is going to be stored, and thereby it is going to be stored in form of rows and columns. So it is going to be a very low level primitive, and it is going to have a higher level instruction with the second level, that is a logical view, and thereby it goes to the third view. It is going to move to the user view. So these are how a correspondence between these application programs and a database is going to be take place. So at the user, we are going to have the application programs, and they are migrated towards this database layer, which is existing in the physical layer. So storage, it is going to have an interaction with the operating system, and it is going to provide effective storing, retrieving, and updating of information. So as far as query processing is going to be concerned, now query has to be evaluated. Query needs to be evaluated, and query it is going to be designed as a part of some application, as a part of an application by the user, that too at the third layer. So, and there he is going to make up his query. Query now is going to be decomposed. It is going to be decomposed into parsing, and it is going to be translated. So it is going to look at the syntax, and it is going to link it at the semantic. So semantic is nothing but the meaning what it is going to take up. We are going to call it as a parsing here. So it does some scanning and it does some parsing here. So which they are going to work with syntax and semantic analysis. Thereby a best query is going to be derived. So we are going to call it as an optimization, and query it is going to make a evaluation over results. So here we are going to have the relational algebra, where we go have this selection, and we do have some projection. So using the selection and using the projection, one it is going to be pi, another it is going to be a sigma. Thereby it is going to use with this optimizer, and execution plan is going to be take up, and it is going to be brought to the evaluation engine, and the output is going to be generated. So we do have a compilation phase, and we do have an interpretation phase towards this query processing. So query processing, the main estimation was it needs to estimate the query cost. It is going to estimate the query cost, and it is going to evaluate the expression. How it is going to evaluate the expression? It is going to use relational algebra, and it is going to use tuple calculus. It is going to use relational algebra, and it is tuple calculus. So after a thing is going to be taken, one we call it as storage management. Second, we are going to say how a query is going to be executed, and the third aspect will be the transaction management. So transaction, it is going to look up into all the phases of a database, right from beginning of a query to an execution of a query. So right, it is having some sequence, and that sequence can be some begin to an end sequence, which it is going to provide atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So it supports all the ACID properties going to be part of a transaction management. And we do have a database. I have a user 1, user 2, and user n. So all of them, they are going to put up their queries. All of them, they are going to interact at a same moment to our database here. Then it is going to support some concurrency. So concurrency, so it is going to where multiple users are going to be taken up at a time, and it sees that there is less failure towards this adaptability. So the first aspect where a database is going to take in place, we are going to call it as database users or a database administrators. So we do have these aspects here. So in this juncture, the first and foremost application will be the database, where we are going to call it as novice users or application users or sophisticated users or a database administrators. So novice users, they are going to use the database with the tellers, with ATMs, etc. They are in the part of an application interfaces, and application programmers, yeah, they are going to build up some programs. So they are going to use a write operation here. Thereby, we are going to have people running the SQL query, and they are going to use the SQL tools, that is query tools here. And finally, we are going to have a database administrator, and he is going to organize the database, and he is going to have a metadata, and he structures the data. And these people, they are going to use the database. And how they are going to use a database? Yeah, they are going to use the database with DDL commands, with DML commands, and DCL commands, so or transaction control language commands. So with all these, they are going to work over the databases. So after a database is going to be taken up with novice users, application programmers, with sophisticated programmers, and the database administrators, now it is up to here to we have a query engine here. So query is going to be processed. So query is going to be processed. To make this query as a processing, it applies both the compiler and a linker, and it is going to have a separated part when we are going to call it as data manipulation language. Another, we are going to have this data definition language. So as far as data manipulation language is concerned, it does some insert operation, it does some update operation, it does this insert operation, update operation, and a delete operation. Then it is going to be with data definition language, it is going to do some create, nor it is going to have some drop or an alter operation. So that is where this query processing is going to concern. So authorization, it is going to deal up authorization, it is going to deal up with the contents. So it is having some username, it is going to have some password, followed by a transaction management. It does all the ACID properties. Then it is going to support some concurrency control, and storage manager. Yeah, it is going to deal with disk storage, etc. It creates a indexing. It is going to create some indexing, and it is going to work with this storage manager. So here we can see a file manager. It is going to have some access control mechanism. So it is setting up some privileges towards a databases. So we do have some statistics over a data, and we do have this data dictionary, and it is going to act as a metadata for a database. So data, it is going to be now in form of a structured thing. When it is going to be in form of a structured thing, it is going to work with rows, and it is going to work with columns. So as far as the database architecture is going to concern, the first thing, it is going to have a novice user or a sophisticated users or a database administrators who are going to use a database, and they are going to put up their queries. Queries are going to be processed with the query evaluation engine. It supports DDL separation and DML separation, and it do have query evaluation engine working with compilation, working with linking phase, and thereby it passes to the next level, where it is going to have a buffer manager, a file manager, which they are going to set up access controls, privileges towards read or write operation. And it supports authorization, which there is some user and user password, etc. And it supports transaction management, supports concurrency, and does with ACID properties. And a disk storage is going to be handled with a storage manager, where a indexing and hashing over a database is applied. So database is totally organized in the lowest level. We call it as the low level. We call it as a physical level. And at that view, we do have a data which is going to be stored in a structured approach, that too in form of rows and columns. So database architecture, he is going to work with a centralized architecture, which we are going to call it as a bottleneck architecture. So the entire control is going to be spread at a single point. We do have a single point control over a database here. And when we are going to say it is going to be a client server architecture. It can be a 2-tier, nor it can going to have a 3-tier. It is going to have a 2-tier architecture or a 3-tier architecture. When it is going to be with a 3-tier architecture, it is supporting with a model view controller, where we are going to have some application server, nor we are going to have a database server. So both of them, they are going to be separated. So we do have a client, and then client, they are going to be working with an application server, and they are going to be working with a database server. So this is where a 2-tier or a 3-tier architecture is concerned, and that it is going to be spread only to a system. But if it is towards a autonomous system, then they are going to prefer for parallel architecture, or they are going to work towards a distributed architecture. So the history of an history of this database management system, we can see this one. It is with 1950s to 1960s, where people are going to have data processing here. So data processing, and people are going to use the things with punched cards. Thereby, in 1960s, the hard disk is going to be evaluated, and TED and CORD rules. So there are 12 CORD rules which are being proposed for a relational model, so that it can, a database should obey. So in 1918 onwards, the SQL has been origined, and in 1990 we do have this data mining applications, a data warehousing application. In 2000s, the XML language is taken, and from 2000 onwards we have a cloud architecture, where it is going to support with Amazon or a web services, or Microsoft Azure, and such type of architectures are one of the history parts of the of these database management system. So that is regarding the first part of the content. So after the first part of a content is going to happen, so we do have another PPT which it is going to support, more or less support the same aspects here. So I don't take much time of because I had a revision of the same part. So we do have a database as a definition. It is going to be very big, and it is going to have a lot of integrated collection of data. Then it supports some real world entities, and as far as applications are concerned, it is dealing with electronic commerce, airlines, or scientific applications, or World Wide Web. So it is going to be dealt with some software packages to manage, store, and provide access to the databases. So again, so we do have levels of abstraction, and after levels of abstraction, in yesterday's class we talked about the dependencies, that can be a logical dependency or a physical independence, and thereby we talked about the differences between file system and database system. Then we talked about concurrency, two or more processes are working simultaneously. So thereby we talked about ACID properties to see that a crash doesn't happen. So just now we talked about the structure of a database management system, which can be taken up with query evaluation engine, and it is followed with relational operations, buffer management, and storage space. And that is what in the second PPT we have managed. So after the two concerns has been taken up, the next issue was to raise the data towards uh, entity relationship model. To raise the data towards entity relationship model. So how key constraints are going to take place, how many ER diagrams are going to be builded, so that it is going to be a part of extensions of this PPT today. So when we are going to talk about this database design, we talk about a conceptual level, that is at the logical level. So conceptual level, it is going to deal with an entity relationship diagrams. We are going to call it as a ER model. So we do call them as an entity relationship model, and these entity relationship model, so they are going to work over the logical view. They are going to work over the logical view, and they are going to give a schema towards a database. They are going to build a schema towards a database, and while building a schema, they are going to use an integrity constraint. So integrity constraints, they can be a primary key, nor they can be a foreign key, and it can be extended with not null, or it can be seen that at most one value should happen. So it like an unique and not null. So empty should not be happen, but only one empty space can be accepted. So that is a not null condition. All that they are going to be put as part of a database is going to be concerned. So relation model, so it is going to build up a schema for a databases, and it is going to be representing the relational schema. So how a database when linked with another database, or how a relationship is established between multiple databases, all that it is going to be take up with this ER model. So here is a employee database, and employee database, it is going to be this we do have some entities here. So we have these attributes here. So attribute will be SSN, the security number, the name, and a lot. So when we are going to call them as entities, we do have them as a real world entities, which they are going to describe this as an attributes here. So entity set, yeah, it is collection of similar entities. So what is the collection? It can be SSN, it can be name, and it can be lot. All these three, they are going to fit into this entity set. All these three elements, they are going to fit it into a entity set, and they are going to define a key, not they are going to have a domain. So key here, I can assume this SSN as a key, as this is given as an underline. So I am going to assume this one as a primary key, and it is going to be very specific, and it is going to be very specific. We are going to call that word as a unique architecture here. So there is one database with a relation, and we do have a database name here, and they are going to have multiple attributes here. So the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing. Now we need to build a model between this. So it is going to bring up some association. So that association, it is going to have as a relationship here. So we do have two or more entities between them. So we do bring a association, and it is going to bring up this collection of similar relationships, so that it is going to have between multiple databases are going to be linked here. So now this juncture, we are going to call it as a relationship set. So when we are going to focus on only these two entities, then it is going to be a relation. It is between multiple values that it is going to take up as a relation set. So each relation set, it is going to involve multiple entities as a participating contents. So first example, we do have a relationship. So relationship, we are going to call here as a working relationship. So we have the first database with an employee, the second database with a department. So department, it is going to have a DID, a DNAME, and a budget here. So these three, we are going to have them as attributes, the entities here, and SSN name and LOT, they are going to be part of an employee, and the relationship we are going to have it as a works in relationship. And we can see one more attribute, which is going to be part of a since, that is this employee, he is going to be working in this department since 2019 or something else. He is going to give a metric value. So a relationship is going to be built. After a relationship is going to be taken up, if there can be a repetitive entities of the same elements, we are going to say as a same entity relationship. See, I can draw a graph here. So now this is what we are going to say self loop. We are going to call it as a self loop. So I'm going to have vertex 1, vertex 2, and vertex 3 and vertex 4. So vertex 3 and vertex 4, they are going to have a self loop here. So putting that self loop, we are going to say it as a same entity. That means there is an employee, and employee, he is going to be a supervisor, and he is going to have his subordinates, and both of them, they are going to have a report to relationship. So either a report to relationship, they are going to exist in employee set. So employee set is there. So either a supervisor, either a subordinate, both of them, they are going to have different roles, and they belongs to the same data set. So that is where we take it as an self relationship. And how are these relationships managed? So relationships are going to be managed with key constraints. So what are the key constraints? Yeah, they are going to be one-to-one relationship. They can be one-to-many relationship. They can be many-to-one relationship, nor they can be many-to-many relationship. So here we do have another new word called as key constraint. So as far as key constraint is going to be concerned, one, we have to see that it should be not null, nor it is going to be unique, and thereby it is going to be as a primary key. It is acts upon as a primary key. Then it is going to deal up with a foreign key, nor it is supporting with candidate key, and it is going to have some composite key, and thereby the last one, it is going to have a super key. So all those are going to be working with a key constraint. So key constraint, they are going to be represented with underlined. They are going to be represented with underlined way, where a key constraint is going to be represented. So the primary key is going to be underlined, and this is towards a department. So employee, he is going to be worked in a department, and he is going to specific a duration. So that duration, it is going to be mentioning from duration, etc. So yes, works in relationship is there. So employee can work in department, and there can be many employees in that department. So when fixing up these key constraints, they support one-to-one, they support one-to-many, they support many-to-one, or they are going to support a many-to-many relationship to build a relation atmosphere between the two or more elements. Next, we do have key constraint cases. So now you can see here managers. So he is going, see, we can say that, I can say an example. So SVCW, we do have some employees. So then we do have an employee as a HOD, an employee as an HOD here. So I can say some IT HOD, I can make a CSC HOD. So IT HOD, he is going to employee of an SVCW. CSC HOD, he is going to be an employee of an SVCW. Now they are going to be part of the employees. Next, they are going to belong to a department called as an IT. They are going to belong to a department called as CSC. So now what you can see, so we can justify here. So there are HODs of these different departments, but both of them, they are going to be employees of a SVCW. So managing are going to be the first, they are going to be, so first they are employees, and next they manage department. Next they are going to manage the department. So that is what a key takeaway of this diagram here. So key constraints. So how long this person is going to manage the department. Now previous condition we were telling that the two employees are belonging to the same college and they are heads of two different departments. Fine. Now what it is going to mention, how long they are going to work. So how long they are going to work. So each department has at most one manager, and see here, so the head of the department is going to be only one, so he is going to manage it. So how long manage, then at case we have some one-to-one relationship here. So next thing we have, we do have this, each department should have at most one manager, and it is going to be this key constraints here. It is going to be part of a key constraints here. So when we are going to call it as a key constraint, so key constraint, so it can be a primary key, it can be a foreign key, what we are going to mention it. So those you can see they are given with how many number of employees, but you can see management was only towards one employee. So employees can be any number. So employees can be any number. Employee of organization can be of any number, but head of department or manager must be one. So that is what a key constraint is going to take up. Next one we are going to see employee is how long he is going to work. So in this case we are going to mention a arrow mark here. This is the key specific which we are going to put up a key constraint over it. So now you can see SSN, it is going to be part of an employee. So DID, it is going to be part of a department, and this is what we are going to call it as a primary key here. So we are going to call it as a primary key here. So primary key, and SSN again it is going to be a primary key here, but management is going to be dependent on this department. Only one is going to manage. For that we are going to build this arrow mark here, and it is mentioned with a tenure. It is going to mention with a tenure. So how long that person is going to be worked. So participating constraints, yeah, we do have this. It's the same thing. So every department should have a manager, and true, and how long it is going to work. So participate in control, it can be a total partition, total, or it can be a partial partition. So participating countries, constraints, they are going to be one with a total, not they are going to be with a partial. So how we are going to make that relationship? So how we are going to make that relationship? Yes, you can see the participation countries. So participation constraints. So a thick arrow mark is going to be represented between this managers and the department. So when we are going to represent a weak entities, weak entities, they can be identified uniquely only by considering the primary key. Now you can see a policy making. So, and another one, another way we are going to call here as a department. So employee, he is going to work in this organization, and he have a policy. So employee, he is going to have a policy here, and his dependents are there, and those dependents are not working, in not working, and they are not in employee, but still uh, they but still they have their presence. They have their presence. So how to make their presence? They are going to be represented with a dark line. They are going to represent it with a dark arrow line. So that is how we are going to represent the weak constraints. Yeah, I'll stop your presentation here. So I'm ending up this presentation. So stop recording.